What's on the menu?
How sweet it is!
Markets.
We tell you what's the real deal.
News.
Conclusions of the report.
Politics.
Go for it.
Shaken and stirred and served with a twist. During the heart of the day. From the financial capital of the world. Liquid Lunch. Live.
Great!
Liquid Lunch with John Tobacco weekdays at noon. Live on Newsmax.
Hello, everybody. This is President Donald Trump. I don't smoke and I don't drink, but there's a fantastic show called Liquid Lunch, and their sponsor is Question Tequila, and it's hosted by John Tobacco. Booze, cigarettes, tobacco, it's all here with great insight on politics, culture, and everything else. Tune in every day to Liquid Lunch.
Hey, welcome back. It's a Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco, coming in as we do every day, Monday to Friday from noon to 1 Eastern from the Question Tequila studios. Today we are high atop Midtown Manhattan at Newsmax headquarters, and as we do every day, we have a platform where we bring on Democrats, Republicans, and independents. We talk about the topics of the day, the news you want to know about without shouting and screaming. Thoughtful conversation. At the end, we shake hands and we part friends. Sometimes we even have a drink. And joining me again, two regulars, John Burnett, Managing Director of One Empire Group, and of course, David Eisenbach, Columbia professor, a candidate for New York City public advocate, and also our in-house presidential historian. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday edition. And the big Democratic debate stage has been set. There's another two groups. There's the adult table and the kid table. And Johnny, give me your side. What do you expect to see out of this debate with the Democrat candidates? The last one was a snoozer.
I think this is like hitting the snooze button, getting an extension, and going back to sleep. Listen, I think that Biden has to come out strong, right? He can't punch down. He has to continue to focus on Trump, but his strategy will be, how do I distinguish myself from the far left, right, to get those centrist Democrats, while at the same time not pushing those far left Democrats away so much, so that way he can get a sliver of them. Gillibrand, Bill de Blasio.
Non-events.
The clock is ticking.
So you don't think they'll be on the third stage?
I think it'll be hard. How can you be on the third stage, right, still polling at 1%?
Not even.
And really not raising money. Two things that really shows that you actually have a following.
Dave, what does Biden got to do to reclaim some of the luster he had a couple months ago?
Not get his butt kicked by Kamala Harris would help.
That's the first.
And so
remove her shoe from his crack.
That was the defining moment of that debate, and it put her on a whole other level coming out of that.
Have you ever, you're a presidential historian, you're a professor at one of the most esteemed universities, have you ever seen a presidential candidate yield the rest of his time like he did?
It was in a tough spot. It was in a tough spot. He wasn't going to get any points by throwing a punch back in that debate to that audience. Remember, this is pitched to Democrats, right? No, wasn't going to help. And he's playing a long game where he's going to need all of her supporters to line up behind him to take on Trump in 2020.
But John, let's not forget about David. Let's not forget about Elizabeth Warren, right? She's climbing up in the polls.
Yep.
So she's coming with her agenda, but also Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders, he's going to be the focal point. He's not paying people a fair wage.
No, yeah, they're not in a good way.
He's going to get slammed.
He's like the hero of the people, the millennials. Hey, we want minimum wage to go higher. Yeah. All of a sudden, he don't want to pay his own people, and you see what happens in a free market society. Bernie's got to pay his people $15 an hour now to look good, and he's laying people off.
Well, Elizabeth Warren is eating out of his base. So he's got to come out and really come after her or try to just define himself. And basically he will define himself as the guy who put out the ideas that everybody is jumping on right now years before they ever
they're going to jump on him, just like they jumped on President Trump and Biden in the first debate. I think the focus is going to be Trump and Bernie.
So you think Elizabeth Warren is nibbling into, you said she's eating out of his base.
Elizabeth Warren is running the best campaign of them all right now. I mean, she's the one who's hustling, and she's the one that's growing. And
she's got a plan for everything.
And
she reminds me of like that guy in the movies. Like, he opens up the trench coat. Hey, what do you want? I got watches. I got tickets.
That's right. And
she got a plan for everything.
And she's talking specifics, and she predicted that we're going to have a recession, which I completely agree, and it's going to come soon, and she'll be the one that will claim that I was the prophet on the recession.
Take it from the academia to tell you
talking
and
down
us
the
when the recession is coming. And you said she's eating out of his audience or out of his base,
out of his support.
Doesn't she eat in a teepee? Pocahontas? No, she doesn't. You think Bernie's supporters are on a reservation? Because she said she's American Indian.
It's talking about the banks. It's talking about the economics. It's talking about how both parties, Democrat and Republican, have had policies that are destroying the middle class, and that's a legitimate argument. That's the Bernie argument, and that's the one that she's making.
Honestly, I don't agree with it, of course, coming from Wall Street. But the thing is, I think Wall Street will also be attacked in this next debate.
Of course.
In terms of each candidate will have to put forth how they're going to pay for their crazy plans, like your people.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's nowhere faster they turn than those evil bankers like me and Johnny on Wall Street. They always want us to pay. What they don't realize is when they start these grassroots organizations and they start screaming and yelling about Wall Street and they go occupy a park in downtown Manhattan, nothing's happened there except people are going to work every day. They got to occupy Washington and change the policies that the bank lobby convinces Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and all these people to go along with.
Well, I remember during when Donald Trump was running for president, talking about how we have a big, fat, ugly bubble. And in the closing days, the campaign was attacking Goldman Sachs and attacking Hillary as being the candidate of the banks. Of course, he flip-flopped as soon as he became president, but that's another story.
All right.
Yeah, no, he didn't flip-flop. He brought the market at 27,000.
Oh, man.
Hello,
and then appointed all these
Frisco.
Goldman Sachs guys and Wall Street guys to his administration.
And your pension plan and 401k at Columbia is doing extremely well.
When it came to the banks during the presidential election, Donald Trump sounded more like Bernie Sanders than Hillary Clinton sounded like Bernie Sanders. And that's why he won.
David, just say thank you. That's all.
Yeah, on some of the issues, I do agree that Bernie and Donald Trump almost come like full circle to each other, which I think that helped. I think some Bernie people were so ticked off at Hillary that they went and voted for Trump as like a protest vote, and that helped. But one thing Donald Trump is hating right now is cryptocurrency. And you guys know, you've been on many times, we talk about cryptocurrency every day. We're not advocating for people to buy it, sell it, trade it, but I'm trying to create an awareness and an education around it, because I think at some point over the next 5 years, everyone should have a little bit of their portfolio focused on the most credible and most regulated cryptocurrencies that are out there. But David, I disagree with Trump on this one, because he's saying that these currencies are out of thin air and he's not down with them and everything. And I think it's just ridiculous, because we should be for innovation and peer-to-peer and empowering people.
Well, but we shouldn't be for frauds. And I think Bitcoin and Tether are a fraud. It's not a coincidence that every time right before Tether, right? This alleged
Ether.
No, Tether. In order to buy Bitcoin, you first have to convert your dollars into Tethers, which allegedly, according to Tether, are backed by dollars in banks somewhere. Of course, there's no accounting firm that will attest to that. The one accounting firm that they did have resigned. Then they bring in Louis Freeh to say that they do have some backing. And then all of a sudden they say, we don't have the dollar reserves backing up all these tethers.
Of course they don't.
Right? In fact, we're using Bitcoin to back up the tethers that are being used to buy the Bitcoin. Oh, man, this is the greatest fraud.
I don't know. I disagree with Trump on this, which is rare. Where do you come down on cryptocurrencies?
You know, I said the same thing when it came down to the cloud storage, right? Where the hell is this stuff going, right? Look, I think there's going to be a natural evolution. When you look back over the last 40 years, right? When they first came out with direct deposit, people said hell no, right? ATM, they said hell no. So we have gradually moved toward a cashless system, right? And it just makes sense to bring about a system that circumvents the Ponzi scheme that we talked about on the last
US
show.
dollar, that's right.
terms
The
of
US
central
dollar,
banking
by the
system.
way, for all of our audience who doesn't know this, is backed by nothing.
Right.
It's
Nothing
printed
at
out
all.
of thin air. There's a big printing press down in Knoxville,
Right.
Tennessee, printing out bucks as fast as they can print them out.
So-
National debt's going so high, the clock can't even count that fast anymore.
Right, exactly.
That's right. Well, I've been a big critic of the dollar, and I think it is. And when Donald Trump, totally disagree. He wants you in that dollar. He knows we had to raise the debt ceiling, add a yearly deficit of more trillions of dollars, right? But what I say is invest in gold.
All right, and it's a golden day when we finish your week on a Friday with one of our best panels yet. It's Johnny Burnett, David Eisenbach. Guys, thank you for coming in on Friday, helping us out. You stay right there. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be back after this with Bill Donahue from the Catholic League talking about all things Catholic. Back after this.